The Olympic 100 metre final is arguably the most anticipated track event to take place over a 4-year time span, and in the run-up to the 2024 Olympics, the hype was building for the final showdown with one of the deepest fields we've ever seen in the event. With 8 spots up for grabs in the final in Paris, the 8 fastest men of 2024 heading into the Games all had season's best of 9.88 or faster, with 30 athletes in total running under 10 seconds. The world leading time heading into the Games belonged to Keshane Thompson, who ran 9.77 in the final of the Jamaican trials while easing off before he got to the finish line, leading to speculation that he had mid 9.7 in the tank at least. Noah Lyles answered back with a new personal best performance of his own in the final meet heading into Paris, with a 9.81 in London into a headwind of -0.3. meaning that a conversion to zero wind would equate to a time of 9.79, while Thompson's race would convert to 9.81 with zero wind. The only man aside from Thompson to run under 9.8 prior to Paris was Ferdinand Omanyala, who ran 9.79 in Kenya, and rounding out the top 4 as the 4th fastest man before Paris, we had Oblique Seville, who ran 9.82 on 2 separate occasions. With Christian Coleman failing to qualify for the Olympics despite having a season's best of 9.86, the next fastest athletes who had booked their place in Paris were Benjamin Richardson with an unexpected 9.86, his countryman Akani Simbine also with 9.86, Americans Kenny Bednarek and Fred Kerley with 9.87 and 9.88 respectively, and the silver medalists from last year Letsile Tebogo with 9.88. The defending Olympic champion Marcel Jacobs had a season's best of 9.92, with finalists of previous major finals Zarnell Hughes and Andre de Grasse having times of 10 flat, but not showing any evidence that they were in their best shape compared to some other seasons. In the first heat in Paris, the top 3 qualifiers for the semi-finals were Keshane Thompson with 10 seconds flat, Benjamin Azamati with 10.08 and Reynaldo Espinosa with 10.11. And this race looked extremely comfortable for Thompson, who did as little as he needed to qualify for the next round. In the second heat, the top 3 qualifiers were Ferdinand Omanyala, Ali Chituru and Joshua Hartman, with Omanyala winning the heat in 10.08. In Heat 3, Noah Lyles had a relatively slow start, as Sean Masugani took the lead in the middle stages of the race, before Louis Hinchcliffe took command of the race, finishing first with 9.98. as Lyles caught up for second place with 10.04 ahead of Masugani with 10.06. From Heat 4, the 3 automatic qualifiers were Oblique Seville in 9.99, Sani Brown in 10.02 and Puri Paul Bunsen in 10.13. Heat 5 seen the Nigerian Alayi finish first in 10.02, while the defending champion Marcel Jacobs finished second in 10.05, but it was hard to tell just how much he exerted himself, since he didn't look to be pushing his hardest at any stage of the race and was happy to take second place. Abdul Saminu finished third in 10.06. In Heat 6, the top 3 qualifiers were Akani Simbine, Akeem Blake and Rickoy Braithwaite, with Simbine winning in 10.03. Heat 7 was loaded with talent as Kenny Bednarek ran 9.97 without pushing himself too hard, with Emmanuel Eseme finishing just behind him in 9.98. Andre de Grasse squeezed into third place in 10.07 ahead of Emmanuel Matadi. The final heat included 3 big names of the sport, with Fred Kerley, Zarnell Hughes and Letsile Tebogo, and with the disqualification of Aaron Brown due to a false start, Hughes looked a bit sluggish coming out of the blocks, as Fred Kerley had an impressive race of 9.97, leaving him as the joint fastest qualifier of the round along with Kenny Bednarek. Tebogo finished second with 10.01 as Hughes finished third with 10.03. The 3 fastest time qualifiers were Benjamin Richardson with 10.06, Emmanuel Matadi with 10.08 and Favour Ash with 10.16. In the first semi-final, Oblique Seville and Noah Lyles were the clear favourites to take the top 2 spots to qualify for the final, and everything went to script with Seville finishing first in 9.81, with Lyles second in 9.83. Seville looked the more impressive of the 2, as he appeared to completely relax while running the final 30 metres. The second semi-final was stacked with talent, and Simbine managed to pull clear of the rest of the field as he finished in a time of 9.87, with the next 3 athletes finishing within 0.02 of a second of each other, with Tebogo squeezing into second place with 9.91, while Jacobs and Bednarek had a nervous wait to see if they would make the final, having ran 9.92 and 9.93. The third semi-final may have looked like the most difficult to qualify from on paper, as three men had PRs in the 9.7s with Kashane Thompson, Fred Curley and Ferdinand Omanyala, while the Tokyo finalists Andre De Grasse and Zarnell Hughes also made the lineup, along with frequent World Champs finalist Sani Brown. Thompson and Curley separated from the rest of the field, with Thompson finishing in 980 and Curley finishing in 984. Richardson and Sani Brown took third and fourth place, but their times of 9.95 and 9.96 meant Jacobs and Bednarek qualified for the final. In the final, we had arguably the deepest field in Olympic 100 metre history, with no man who was standing on the starting line looking like they could be fully counted out, with a lineup of Kenny Bednarek, Fred Curley, Kashane Thompson, Akani Simbine, Oblique Seville, Noah Lyles, Letsile Tebogo and Marcel Jacobs. When the gun went off, the best starters in the field were Thompson, Curley and Jacobs, with Lyles in 8th place by the 30 metre mark. By 60 metres, Lyles had made up significant ground to find his way into 3rd place, with Jacobs slipping back to 4th. Despite Thompson leading the race all the way up towards the finish, he looked to be straining as early as 50 metres into the race, and his form looked tense as he had the unfamiliar feeling of someone staying on his shoulder in the second half of the race, with Fred Curley in the lane next to him. All of the athletes hit their top speed between 60 to 70 metres except for Tebogo, who hit his around 75 metres. After passing the 90 metre mark, Lyles took the lead from Thompson to win the gold, as both athletes finished with times of 9.79, with Lyles winning by 0.005 of a second, with Lyles also recording the fastest top speed of the race with 43.6 kilometres. Finishing third to take the bronze medal was Fred Curley with a time of 9.81, with heartbreak once again for Simbine, who finished fourth in a new PR of 9.82. All of the finishes outside of the medal positions were the fastest of all time by placing, with Jacobs in 5th place with 9.85, his fastest race since his Olympic final win 3 years ago, Tebogo in 6th place with a new PR of 9.86, Bednarek in 7th place with 9.88 and Seville in 8th place with a disappointing time of 9.91 considering what he had ran in the semi. With all men going well under 10 seconds in an extremely tight race right to the end, I think this has to go down as one of the greatest 100 metre finals in Olympic history.